Hey everybody, it's Justin Lovely with MyrtleBeachBikerLawyer.com, powered by the lovely law firm Injury Lawyers. I'm out here in fabulous Las Vegas at Red Rock Harley-Davidson, and I am shooting some podcasts here with my National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers colleague, Moe DeWitt, at JustCallMo.com. Moe is a trusted referral partner, always here to help. He helps me even though he's out of state, but we talk things over, and we're here at our National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers annual meeting. And, we're teaching some accident scene management classes here in the back and had some great hospitality here from the Harley-Davidson. So we're going to talk over some few topics that always occur in our practices and just get to know Moe here. So, Moe, how's it going, man?
It's going great, and thank you for having me here. And, you mentioned kind of the National Referral Partner thing. That is one of the advantages of NAMIL, of the National Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, is, people on motorcycles, they, especially in the Southeast, they want to ride, they cross state borders, and if there's an accident, or if there's an issue, a legal issue, I can call Justin can call me,
right,
and we can help get them the advice that they need.
Yeah, 100%, man. So we were talking earlier before we started recording about these accident scene management classes.
Oh, yeah.
Is it hard to get those scheduled down with a year-long riding season down in Florida?
It can be. Everybody wants to be out there riding and having fun, not necessarily in the classroom, but those classes are so important and can be so helpful. I know you've seen just the benefit to riders that they provide, really. So,
100%.
Yeah, if you have one that's offered, if you're in our area or Justin's area, get in contact with us, and we'll try to get you in touch with somebody who's doing one, because they really are beneficial.
Yeah. And, it's sponsored by Road Guardians. Vicky's actually down here. She started Road Guardians years ago. She's teaching some other members about these classes. But the biggest thing that's outside of the class is when we are there as the sponsoring lawyer, and we get to teach them about underinsured motorist coverage, which it's a huge problem in Myrtle Beach and Charleston and South Carolina as a whole. And the biker community as a whole.
Yeah.
But tell us how bad it is in Florida and why you have to get UIM insurance.
Yeah, well, Florida is the only state in the nation that I know of, at least, that has no bodily injury coverage requirement, which means somebody can legally be on the road, hit you and hurt you, and have no insurance to cover it.
It's so crazy.
And so, a lot of people don't even really know what uninsured motorist coverage is. You go get insurance for your bike, you call up your agent, you say, hey, give me whatever's cheapest. You don't really look at it. But if you're out there riding, especially in Florida, you got to have that uninsured motorist coverage. It's so important to have. And if something happens, nowadays you go down, just a quick trip to the emergency room on even if it's just some skin abrasion, something like that, you're looking at $10,000-$20,000, if not more, not more. And so that's why you have to have that coverage. You just have to have it.
Now, in Florida, is UIM and UM the same, or do they split that up?
Yeah, they combined them a few years back, so they are the same now.
But is it not required on your first party, or is it?
It's not required at all. So the only only requirement that we have is that it's offered to you. But again, most people, the paperwork for your insurance company or insurance gets emailed over to you. It's a DocuSign or something like that. You just click the buttons. You're not reading it, and you've signed away and rejected the uninsured motorist coverage, and you don't even know it.
Do you ever run into opportunities to fight that in court and try to get them reformed?
We do, and those used to be more successful. They've gotten smarter. They've reformed the language here and there. But every once in a while, we have been able to defeat that and get some coverage there where they didn't actually have the coverage.
Florida's tough, man.
Oh, yeah, it is tough. It is tough. We have some bad insurance laws, unfortunately.
Yeah. So in South Carolina, it's required on your first party, you get at least $25,000 of UM.
Yeah.
But the UIM is the same thing. You have to make a meaningful offer, and they're just clicking off.
Right.
If they want to buy the motorcycle, call Geico, give me the minimum, and get out the door.
Exactly.
They have no idea.
They want to go ride. They want to go enjoy the bike.
100%. So these accident scene management classes, though, to get back to our original topic, is, hey, we get a chance we sponsor lunch, right? And then we're able to talk and really educate these bikers, So you're learning safety, and then you're going to learn about your insurance.
Yeah, and you get a free lunch, hopefully. So, it's really a win-win. It's very valuable information. If you're out there on a bike, you need to have that information to properly protect yourself and protect your family.
Right. 1,000,000%. Can't stress that more. So what about helmet laws? This is a big topic when we're dealing with motorcycle clients. I know I've had several people call in. They're always asking me, hey, I got a ticket for this. It was a big issue in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Down in Florida, do you have to wear a helmet?
You don't, as long as you have enough insurance coverage. Now, one of the things that we're worried about that could happen is, our laws in Florida just changed now to where if you're found to be, 51% at fault or more in an accident, you get nothing. So, we used to just be, where it was just a strict percentage. Now it's 51% or more. And we're worried with these helmet laws, since you don't have to wear a helmet, that the insurance companies are going to try to blame the rider for their injuries to a jury. Well, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not fair. we're seeing these arguments being made already that, oh, he didn't wear a helmet, the injuries are really his fault, which again doesn't make sense, but doesn't mean it won't be argued.
And it's going to be motions in limine. We're going to have to follow those when we get the trials, and we're going to have to get some precedent. But in the meantime, it's up in limbo.
Yeah, because our laws just changed last year, so it's all very new in Florida.
So, and y'all had to file a lot of lawsuits. Go ahead and describe that change. Tell us what the change was, because people don't understand this. I mean, when you vote, you don't realize who you vote for means a lot, you know, and it can trickle down to your motorcycle. Yeah,
I mean, there was a number of things that they did. Number one, they kind of restricted the amount you can recover for your actual medical bills. So the medical bills, instead of being what they're actually charging, what the hospitals are charging you, or what the insurance company is charging you, it's now tied to the Medicare and Medicaid pay schedule.
Wow.
Even if you don't have Medicare or Medicaid, which is just crazy to me. They also, changed the percentage, like I mentioned before. There was a number of other changes that went into effect, but because of those, basically, we had about a 1 week period to file lawsuits on every one of our cases in the office to basically bring them under the old statute, under the old law, to protect our clients' interests there. So that was a rough week for us working around the clock.
Were a lot of clients scared and apprehensive of, hey, I don't want to go to court, because we always hear that as well. I don't want to go to court.
I mean,
Please get this worked out.
We had to work it through, and most of those cases did still end up resolving, but we still had to file it to protect their interest and protect their rights there. And once we explained to them what was happening, most of them were okay with it. But man, that was a crazy week.
Wow. That is wild. And then Medicare, Medicaid, when they're paying those prices, I mean, people don't realize that either. I mean, that's 20 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So just to kind of clarify that for our listeners, if you have $1,000 medical bill, well, Medicare is probably paying $200 on that.
Right.
And if that's all you can show your damages are to try to settle your case, well, you just, your legislature's just devalued every one of your motorcycle claims.
Right. And the person who's injured is still stuck with the actual bill.
Yeah.
It's not like the actual bill gets reduced. It's just the amount that they can ask for from the insurance company gets reduced, which is just not fair, frankly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get some reform to shift that back the other way, but we'll see how that goes.
Do you ever have any, and I know in my state at least, they're tough to cases with weather's involved. So if you're having snow, well, maybe you don't have any snow, you're in Florida, but rainy conditions.
It rains every day in Florida. Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, the insurance companies are always going to look at weather conditions, try to blame it. When you're a biker out there, they always try to blame you. I mean, that. Anything that they can think of to try to blame you. So, and in Florida, it rains pretty much every day. 3 o'clock every day, we get a thunderstorm of some kind. So, of course, they're going to say, well, it was the road conditions. They were going too fast for the road conditions or whatever it may be. And, sometimes we have to hire experts to come in and kind of show, no, that's not actually the case, or reconstruct the accident or whatever it may be. But yeah, any place where you're dealing with hazardous weather, whether it's rain or snow, you got to know how to fight against those claims where the biker's at fault.
And I'll remember this too, and I always preach this to anybody who will listen, is a lot of times when they determine fault, they don't see it. The biker's gone in an ambulance to the emergency room, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so you have the person who is usually at fault, and they're giving their account, of course, to try to get out of the ticket or say that they weren't at fault in the accident or whatever it may be. So yeah, the person who's actually injured and saw what happened a lot of times is not there. And if there's no cameras or independent witnesses, you have to go back and kind of argue fault. And so, as you see all the time, the insurance companies will initially come up and they'll go to the injured person and say, oh yeah, our investigation finds that you're 40% at fault, so we're only going to offer you $3,000 for this or something, which is all just made up numbers at that point.
I call it adjuster law. They're just making shit up. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're offering you pennies on the dollar to try to get you to sign something quickly to go away, and so that you're not fairly compensated for your injuries and your medical bills and all that kind of stuff. And at that point, you probably don't even know what your medical bills are. You may have $50,000, $100,000 in medical bills if you went to the hospital, and you don't even know it yet because you haven't gotten those bills.
Yeah. Do you have access to? You mentioned cameras, and the investigation is very important. It's another reason you need to hire a lawyer if you're ever involved in a motorcycle wreck. But do you have access, or maybe through FOIA, or maybe there's a database in Florida to get these state cameras, or do you just rely on your PI to go scour the scene?
So a little bit of both. I mean, we have a ton of cameras in Florida. Department of Transportation cameras are available, and we have broad public records laws as well. So any public camera, we can do a request to them to get that video, as well as, everybody nowadays has cameras. So you go out to the accident scene, you look around, maybe there's a fast food restaurant or somebody who has a surveillance camera on the area, but you have to go and preserve that right away, otherwise it can disappear. But yeah, I mean, nowadays, especially in the cities, there's so many cameras out there, and we have broad public records laws, which makes it easier for us to get access to those cameras.
But preserving that quickly, because things,
that's the key.
They disappear. And
Yeah.
people, they'll try to handle this on their own. They won't hire a lawyer right off the bat.
I had somebody call me the other day. He was in an accident. It was about 70 days ago, and he was trying to do it on his own. And he was trying to get the video on his own, and he didn't preserve it.
Yeah.
And he called me and said, "Can you get the video?" I go, "Well, I can try, but to be honest, it's probably not there anymore." I mean, nobody's keeping video past 60 days usually.
Right.
So that's why it's so important. The first thing you should do is make sure that video is preserved. If there is video, get an attorney, do a spoliation letter, make sure it's preserved, because that can make a big difference when it comes to your case.
So in South Carolina, I've got two investigators. One was a retired detective from Raleigh, North Carolina, and my other one was he's retired from the Marine Corps. He was an MP. And so literally when I got a motorcycle involved, they're both boots on the ground.
Yeah,
and they both have different perspectives too, man.
Yeah.
One might think of something and see something, another one doesn't.
Yeah.
But when I'm putting them both on there, so we do that in combination with the FOIA request and everything. It's awesome. But yeah, it can turn the tide from the biker being at fault to getting, a 6-7 figure settlement. So big issue.
It can make or break a case easily.
What about, you practice in Orlando and Tampa. Those are huge markets, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of competition, a lot of bikes, a lot of cars with the tourist seasons down there, which is really year-round now with Disney and everything else.
It never stops.
Do you have any issues with, this is a big thing in the biker community now, with lane filtering, lane splitting, any of those issues? I don't know if they've got a specific law in Florida.
We do. It is an issue down there. And, one of the bigger issues I see, too, is with so many tourists, whether they're, coming in for bike week or it's just people visiting Disney on vacation, is they don't know the roadways, so they're not paying attention. And so when you're on a motorcycle out there, they don't see you because they're looking at their phone trying to figure out where to go. They're not familiar with the roadways. They're out of their element. And I think that's why we have so many accidents in Central Florida, or one of the reasons is just because we have a ton of tourists on the road in rental cars who don't know where they're going. Which another thing I should mention is, if you have a rental car in Florida, you don't have to have insurance for that rental car. You don't have to have bodily injury coverage on that either. So, somebody in a rental car can hit you and hurt you, not have any insurance to cover you. Again, that's why you want to have uninsured motorist
What percentage?
coverage.
I know you sign a lot of cases. You got a great practice down there.
Yeah.
What percentage are you finding? Because I know they'll call you. The client calls. They have a great case that meets criteria that we think we can help them as a lawyer.
Yeah.
We start working the case. What's your percentage of where there's no insurance?
So 25% are legally on the road without bodily injury coverage. Then there's about another 15% who are illegally on the road with no coverage at all. So our minimums are $10,000 in property damage and $10,000 in PIP. That's what you have to legally have to be on the road, which PIP is the no-fault coverage.
Yeah.
And so there's about 15% of people who don't even have that, and then there's 25% of people who are on the roads with just the bare minimum, no BI coverage. So basically 40% don't have any coverage if they hurt you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
That is scary,
crazy.
people. And everybody listening to this, that is very scary. And
Yeah.
you can only protect yourself, again, back to UIM. The only way you can protect yourself is to raise your underinsured motorist coverage to as much as you can afford.
That's what I always tell people is, go to the maximum that you can afford and, kind of look at your lifestyle, look at your assets, how much you're making. Make sure you have enough coverage to cover you if something happens. I mean, we represented a lawyer in town recently and, well-off lawyer, and they got hit by somebody with no coverage, and they only had $10,000 in UIM and uninsured motorist coverage. I'm going, that's not going to cover your salary for a month. I know what you make, but, and so you got to make sure you have enough coverage where if something happens, you can't work, you got medical bills, that you have enough coverage to protect yourself there.
That's the most difficult conversation that you have to have with a client as an injury law firm, as an advocate for a victim, is there's nothing to get. I mean, and
it's horrible. I mean,
it's the worst. It's the worst part of our practice.
Yeah.
And it happens too much.
It does. I've had people go down on motorcycles, lose legs, be in the hospital for months, and you have to tell them, we've exhausted all remedies here, and there's nothing to go after.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Terrible stuff. Now, you do a lot in the community, kind of switching modes a little bit.
Yeah.
You do a lot of great stuff in the community, man. So what's your plan for 2024 and giving back? I know you've done some great things for teachers. You help other organizations with some sports podcasts. There's a couple, like an art thing that you do, or what is it? Go ahead and tell me.
We have a number of different things. So we have our Helmet Heads charity, which basically gives out bicycle helmets to kids. Because again, we see it all too often in what we do. Traumatic brain injuries, and it can happen on a motorcycle, in a car, or on a bicycle. So we want to make sure every kid out there who needs a helmet has one. So we're going to be pushing that a lot this year. And then we do like to do some fun stuff. We gave away a free cruise to a teacher last year, which was just a fun event to do. We had a contest where we tried to find a deserving teacher and got to surprise her with a cruise to take her family on over the summer and kind of enjoy that summer vacation. So we have a lot of that stuff planned for this year, and going to try to keep doing more fun things. And it's fun for us, and obviously we're trying to support the community, but it is fun for us as well. So
yeah. It's also good for your staff, man. I mean, they appreciate doing that stuff, and they like to see the owner taking the first priority to get this stuff done for the community.
They do. They love it. They get involved with it. They get to come out to the events, and because we do a lot of events for our clients as well. Whether it's taking them out to a theme park for the day or having some dinners for them and stuff like that. And the staff have really got involved with that and really had a lot of fun with it.
So one of the best things I've done for my firm is we made community service one of our core values, and I make sure every month. And this was a big commitment, right? And everybody said, you're not going to do it. I know your firm does this, but every month we're doing something for some organization, whether that's a biker organization, anybody in the community. We focus on, helping women and kids, and then motorcyclists. So
that's fantastic.
We always try to give back. That's great. I'm glad y'all are doing that, man. And it'll set you apart because, anybody who's driven through Florida can see all the different billboards and everything. Right. And
there's plenty of lawyer billboards out there. But, I like to say we're actually a part of the community. I was born there, raised there, worked there.
Right.
And we want to be in that community and support that community.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So you also have you're doing a podcast, right? We
do a bunch of different
podcasts.
Yeah, I appear on a few podcasts. We have our own podcast as well. So we do a ton of radio and podcast stuff.
How can we get in touch, or how can they listen?
So if you go to justcallmo.com, they're all listed there. We have archives of a lot of the shows, and then we'll point you in the direction if it's not our show to where to listen to it. But just go to justcallmo.com and click the little radio tab there, and they're all listed there.
Cool deal, man. Well, I appreciate your time coming down here. It's always good to see you. We get to see each other about 4 times a year, and you always give me some cool stuff that you're working on. I try to give you back some value.
You absolutely do, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So they can, again, it's justcallmo.com. Yep. You can find them at, justcallmo.com, DeWitt Law Firm. Anytime you need an issue in Florida, Orlando, and Tampa, that's where he was born and raised. He's the local lawyer, the local choice. He's the local guy I'm going to refer my cases and my referrals to. Anything else you want to add?
No, just thank you for letting me be here.
Appreciate it.
It's always a good time.
All right, well, this is Justin Lovely signing off, MyrtleBeachBikerLawyer.com, powered by the Lovely Law Firm Injury Lawyers.